Hey, America. I just finished watching James Freeman's video about the two young men that were stopped by a couple of diarrhea sheriff's deputies. Remember in a previous video, for those of you who didn't see it, I explained that while cops are diarrhea, and if it were possible for diarrhea to get diarrhea, the diarrhea's diarrhea would be sheriff's deputies because they're the lowest form of human being on planet Earth. I wanted to give a little perspective on why it may have been so frustrating for some people. And speaking of frustrating, I wasn't even planning on watching it at all. It was way, way against my better judgment that I watched the video because all it does is just get my blood pressure boiling, and I just get furious and pissed off. And and then you can't do anything with it. All that energy just builds up, and all that angst and all that frustration and all that anger just builds up and just turns into a fiery hot ball of unreleased anger and rage, and there's nothing you can do with it. Absolutely nothing. I mean, unless you just live out in the country, you can go and fire off 150 rounds with a machine gun, or punch a punching bag until it literally shreds to pieces, or maybe smash your head through a window. Of course, I don't recommend anybody do any of these things. But I'm trying to get over into some better lighting so I don't look so weird. But yeah, here's my take on it. And so here's the reason why cops don't immediately arrive, do real police work, and arrest the bad guys. Okay? Cops know. Remember, cops are lazy just like everybody else is lazy in their job. They don't want to work either. They just want to coast and go home. But they know that when a crime has actually taken place, when a real crime has taken place, they believe, I shouldn't say they know, they believe that they have immediately achieved God status. Okay? They have now transcended human form and have put on the cloak of God status. Okay? With God status, once in God status, they know that they can basically do anything that they want. The list of things that they cannot do is extremely short. It is a very, very tiny list. Okay. For example, you can't rape somebody because you're looking for a murder suspect or an armed robbery suspect. Okay. That would be considered unreasonable. The courts would spend a lot of time trying to decide if it was unreasonable, because that's how dumb the courts are. They'll spend 500 pages trying to decide if a rape was unreasonable in this situation. But at the end of the day, they would eventually rule that that was not reasonable. You can't just open fire on any vehicle that drives by and kill everybody inside and then pour gasoline in the car and light it on fire. So that's two things on a very, very short list of things that cops cannot do while actively investigating a crime. So think about it this way. They show up, they get the information from the suspects. I'm speaking about the specific video that I'm going to link in the description that James Freeman did, posted on his channel. They show up, they get the description of the two guys, they arrest them, right? And then the case is over. That's it. It's done. And they may actually bail out that same day or bond out, and the state attorney may not actually press charges. But that's not really their concern. They don't really care that much about that. But this is their motivation for not actually doing police work. I'm trying to make it make a little bit of sense to people who may be wondering why, since it was so easy for them to get the information on the suspects, why didn't they just do that if they really cared about getting the bad guys? They don't. Because why just arrest two black men? Yes, I'm pulling the race card. Why just arrest two black men when now you have achieved God status and can stop and frisk and search and detain and run for warrants 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 20 black men, or as many people as you want. I'll drop the race thing. Let's say that race has nothing to do with it. Why not be able to stop and search 18, 20, 24, 60 people, right? Like there's no limit to it. Of all those people that you stop and detain because you're actively investing a crime, the chances that a large percentage or at least a percentage of them will have warrants for some kind of a crime. And now you've turned what would have just been two boring arrests into 10, 12, or 14 stats, numbers, accolades, attaboys. You get it? You see why the motivation is to not just run in and solve the crime? Additionally, by purposely sandbagging and lollygagging around and letting those guys get away, of course, they don't care about how many more people they victimize. That's never going to be in the cops' purview, no matter how many cop propaganda shows you watch or how much you try and convince yourself that cops are here to protect us. They're not. By dragging it out and letting the two men get away, now, okay, they can have a poster in every police car on the beat, okay, in the district. There's another word for it. Let's just call it the district for now. In the district, saying, be on the lookout for these two men. They're wanted for questioning in, or they're the suspects in an armed robbery. You see how that pans out? Now, instead of doing actual police work and having reasonable suspicion or probable cause, they can pull up to any set of, right? Two people walking down the street, doing their own thing, minding their own business. Hey, hold on. Stop right there. So-and-so, police officer so-and-so. You match a description of an armed robbery that happened 3 weeks ago. We're still looking for the guys. You resemble them. You look like them. You got some ID on you? You see how that works? Now they're able for the next 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, however long they want to drag it out, right? However long they want to drag it out, they can stop and frisk and check and run the backgrounds on unlimited amount of people because they've achieved God status, okay? Because the courts have given them so much leeway to do basically whatever they want, including shooting and killing unarmed people who are not resisting and who have nothing to do with it and who may not even be the same race. These are all actual stories that I'm referring to. Someone from a complete different race with a totally different body type, okay? Shoot them and kill them, arrest them, detain them, whatever you want to do. There's no limit. The courts are giving you carte blanche, okay, to do whatever you want because you are currently looking for the suspects in an armed robbery. That is the motivation for cops to not do their job and to not immediately arrest the guilty parties, okay? And that's what they did. They now had the picture of the people they're looking for. They had their social media. They knew who they were. They knew the detectives could start working the case, dragging it out for the next 3 weeks. And they had these two punk kids, in quotation marks. I'm not calling them that. Although, of course, I think that they could have handled it a little bit better, but no one can blame them for being frustrated. But they had these two punk kids who were dissing them. So, hey, this is exactly what we want. We wanted a legal reason to be able to have the moral high ground, right? To do whatever we want to teach these little kids a lesson, right? You don't mess with the cops. You do what we tell you to do, all right? We run the show here, all while covering it over with, man, I didn't know what the suspects looked like. It could have been them. They were walking down the same street. They were running from me. The little disgusting, psychopathic voice that cop had, telling himself and trying to convince people watching the video later, because he knew, at least he was smart enough to know the video would be watched, that he's so professional and just, so thorough. Oh, and those boys were just so stubborn and so rebellious. Okay. Depending on the platform, that video would have had tons of bootlicker comments. Okay. Because it's on the James Freeman channel, people were honestly and correctly criticizing what happened. Put that on one of these other ridiculous channels like Midwestern Safety or whatever the hell it's called, and it would be nothing but positive comments. Oh, my goodness, officer of the year. He was so respectful and so professional. I can't believe that woman second guessed him. I can't believe it. Who did she think she was? Trying to make something big out of absolutely nothing. They're just doing their jobs, lady. You know how the bootlicker comments go. So anyway, that's just my little commentary on that. That's why cops don't immediately race to solve something, because they want that God status so that they don't have to actually do their job properly and develop reasonable suspicion or get a warrant or have probable cause. They now have how many videos have we seen where cops stop someone, and then when the person who posts the video does a little research, they find out that that's a crime that was solved like 3 months ago, and they're still milking it. Oh, we had a murder. We had a murder here 3 weeks ago. This is the same argument that was made by the low life, money grubbing, dirty cop protecting, America hating racist lawyer that was defending the criminals in South Padre Island. He kept bringing that up again. He kept bringing it up over and over. They didn't know what you were doing. They didn't know what he was up to. And they hadn't determined if he was a threat or not, blah, blah, blah. That's the very reason why they had no lawful right to detain me, because they didn't know that I had committed a crime. They didn't have reasonable suspicion. They were trying to satisfy their mere curiosity, masquerading as reasonable suspicion of a crime. And to this day, okay, they still have never once articulated any crime that they suspected me of committing. They referenced supposed, alleged vehicle break-ins that had occurred there on the property, but they never once articulated any crime that they suspected me of. By the way, on that point, and I'm ending with this, I still have a large amount of raw footage from all of the cops involved in my detainment at South Padre Island, by the way. And I've just not taken the time to upload it, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do that as a premiere on my channel. I have the body camera footage from the detective, the older man, the detective who passed away. I've got the rest of the David Laird footage. I've got the other footage from the other cop. I've got like 4 or 5 different officers' body cam footage of the whole incident. It's kind of old news, but I do still have all that raw footage. And I've thought about just releasing it just for people to see it, and it'd be another piece of the puzzle.